Hey everyone, I'm Tassinix, and welcome to Plotting and Scheming, covering Season 59, 5 vs 5 Grand Arena Championship, Week 2. I am joined by 3 out of 4 of my regular co-hosts. Dagger can't be with us today, but we do have TJ, Sasha Aisha, and Fatal. Gentlemen, it was a pretty good week. I mean, I had 2 legitimate rounds, won one, lost one, and then an Erodium. I do have an Erodium to start this week. So, yeah, I have 2 weeks of 2-1 under my belt. What say you, TJ?
I feel like I'm your opposite, and I'm not even gonna take the credit because I technically don't deserve it. I went 0.5 and 2.5. I'm not taking the credit for the one because literally ships carried for me. So it was a shit week and pass. And thanks for asking, Dick.
All right, fair. Yes, I'll accept that. All right, Sasha Aisha, how about you? How'd the week go?
So I went 2-1, but in any real sense, 0-1. I had a fun match with Aesop, but I got stopped by his Leia. We can talk a little bit about that, and he successfully navigated a 4-shot on my Leia. So I lost that one, but it was overall a fun week. But yep, 2-1.
All right.
Oh,
yeah.
and by the way, that hat looks stupid on you. Sorry, I had to channel my inner Dagger.
Yes.
Thank you for doing that.
Pouring,
It's good. It's
pouring
good.
a little out for my homie.
It feels like
for
home. It really
team.
feels like home,
Yeah.
guys. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
I needed that. All right, and of course, Fatal. How about you? How'd the week go?
1 and 2, but like, I don't know. It was just a weird week for me on just like a personal level, not really game related. It's like I fought against Canada Fed in the middle round, and like, I had him on like a -100 banner line, but just I don't know. The meta is kind of like losing me a little bit, and then the mastery kind of tilted. Not tilt is still the wrong word here, but it was just like, all right. It was kind of back to the nightmare scenario of metas past, where just like it was genuinely the I am throwing away banners for posting.
You're the defense guy. You're the defense guy in a world where it's like defense feels like it's mediocre. So the defense guy can't play the true defense game. It's kind of a meh. So I wouldn't call it a till either. I would call it a meh. Just meh.
Well, but then I tried some random shit, and it actually like kind of worked out enough to be like, this might actually just unironically be something to pursue in the future. So it's not like a down week for me overall. It was just like, boy, howdy, did that not need to be a 1 and 2 by most respects, but just, it wasn't anything game related. It's just like bad mental on my part, I guess. But
that's okay. We're all trying to achieve honor and glory in this phone game that it is. So that's fine. Hopefully you're set up better for this week, though, to make a strong close.
You'll get a preview of my match history, I think.
Okay. All right. Well, we will be talking about how this last week went. All right, guys, let's go ahead and jump right in about the meta-analysis. Quick announcement. Fatal reminded me beforehand, and I guess I don't want to forget it at any point, but for all of you wondering, Balin No Kit will be coming out this week. So stay tuned. Okay, now that has been covered as a PSA, first couple things I wanted to cover are Great Mothers and Luthen. That was a topic last week about what we saw. What did you guys see new this week or different? I'm assuming it was still Slacker, Crew Slacker and JMK remained the counters that you either used or saw employed against you.
Also, surprise, Mirror Works.
Mirror Works. Does
Round
it favor
3.
you being anyone in particular being faster or slower?
I don't any more of that than Obi used it on me round 3. He failed with the Slacker, and then he actually did a smart thing. He kept, because I've seen the fails, he kept it and did a mirror, and he walked out of it not bad. Everybody was full health and protection minus Morgan. So what would I call that?
But you're saying he kept a previous fight, so he had cooldowns pulled at least?
No, he retreated. It was full on fight. So he retreated and then kept it, and it was smart on his part. We've talked about it, but lo and behold, just use mirror. Apparently that does good too.
Dang. Man, what round was that? Was that
Round three.
round 3?
The only one I won that I called 0.5. So just first match. You'll see the fail, retreat, and then boom.
Wow. Okay, yeah. All right, so he had Spirit in there. He got his stuff, and that was 2 minutes. Yeah, he handled business.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I
That's
see
not
that you had. How did you ran zombie last week in this comp? I guess this fits in the umbrella because I saw. Just as a quick note, I saw Marin in one team that I fought was no issue, no impediment to Slacker. Did not complicate a damn thing.
What I did was go off the assumption of what the AI targeting would do, and you see the struggle from the Slacker, right? And that was my thought based on what we talked about and how many things we've done. I just played around with what I'm thinking I'm going to set, and so I just did zombie because it does a nice delay, right? There's a potential there to mess with it. I took strong third and fourth characters, be it DTP obviously does really well on that team, and I don't need it for spoiler my D team, G team. And then Initiate, because Initiate will literally delete, and it happened to me in these past 2 weeks where twice so far, Initiate has been the SOKR killer. Each time has been perfectly timed on my SOKR, and that's just been my 2 weeks of whatever. But as you see, it dropped him out, and it dropped it fast. I would say you could see it's pretty convincing to have to back out.
Yeah.
But that was cool, and such a smart strategy, right? That you don't know if it's back there or not. It's like, I'm just going to keep it, and we're going to see. You're going to have to assume it's back there, and he did that, and it worked well because I was holding for what I would need. So it was smart.
Okay. How about the rest of you guys? Anything new seen regarding the Great Mothers?
Nothing radically new, but I did Aesop set it with Asajj in there, along with Initiate and Death Trooper Peridia. I used a JMK without Plo. So, I certainly went pretty heavy, relatively heavy, and going through it, and it's a solid one shot. What I said on defense got a hold, but he was able to kill Great Mothers. It's just it was a first order squad that I suspect his SLK got caught up with depleted or reduced hit points. And what I had set was Initiate with Night Trooper and Death Trooper. I did mess around with the speed of Death Trooper Peridia just a little bit, trying to nudge up the use of the grenade. And I don't know if that's what worked, but something got it. But he was easy 2-shot because it was without Great Mothers.
I would like to submit for you my experience in round 3 versus Barator as what might have happened. This could happen to anybody, but here's what happened. I mean, it was careless, but it's on me. What happened is everything's going great. Great Mothers is about to die. I'm about to swipe for the killing blow on her, right? Now, there's no taunt impeding me from having her targeted. I have her targeted because I've been having her targeted the last couple of swipes. And instead of switching to Morgan, I kept it on her. Or to anybody else but her. But by keeping Great Mothers targeted, when I swiped, there was no follow-up basic, and that took me out of the turn meter loop just long enough for DTP to throw a grenade. So I think that's what happened to Aesop against you.
I wouldn't be surprised. It certainly sounds like it.
I'll tell you where I'm at with it. I'm going to add one character that I'll be okay with it being a 2-shot. If it does, I told you about it week 1. I tried it again round 2 because, again, I've had bad luck 2 weeks, whatever you want to call it. Treya still gets me to the point where I'm down to the last character, and I still feel like I can get there. Round 2, and I'm not playing nobodies. We're talking about full-on characters. Was it Gene Parmesan? I think it was, but basically Fear, right?
Okay.
Wasn't that one? Round 1 was it? Where I screwed up, and that was Bebe, right? So we're again full players. But if you look at my Treya fight,
yeah.
I had it ready to go. But if you're okay pulling it, not having to use SLKR or JMK, if you're okay with the bust on that, to me, using Treya to do it, and I still feel just fine in the fight.
Can I ask you, looking how close you got it to being done, Do you think Talon might be a help here? Like, why
Pro-
Talon over Set? I'm curious.
It's you need to
Sorry,
protect
why
your
Set
team.
over Talon?
You
rather?
have to protect your team. That is the whole reason that this works down to where it is. I could try Talon, but the problem is, they're picking you off. They're gonna go for Savage, and they're gonna knock down Savage. Savage is dead, basically turn one.
Really? Okay.
That's how fast Savage is dead because of the amount of damage that's being pushed out. So I said, I'm not fighting nobodies. We're fighting the actual
sure.
players
Yeah,
at the top. And so what happens is they're going to go for Savage. I've seen this happen almost every time Savage is there. They love Savage, and they will go for him over Set. But what you need is that backup to keep your Treya and your Nihilus alive. The first round, I had more characters, but I screwed up. This time I didn't screw up, but they were just picking my team off. And then eventually they did get to your Treya, because obviously AI priority. But by that point, you're so far in the fight, I already killed like 3 characters.
So you think all 3 tanks you have here are necessary?
I have never seen where I didn't need all 3 tanks. I need that ability because there's so much damage pummeling out that people are dying left and right, but that pisses Nihilus off. And again, that could be Kron dependent, but his speed gains it to where you need to get the insta kill. And then I just started dropping them fast. Then they just start going away. And then you have the debuffs to keep your team back together.
Do you have everybody in crit avoidance arrows to make the biggest use of the crit avoidance from Treya? The reason I ask is I wonder if you had considered testing with Savage lead and if that ever worked for you. Because you would figure the other way to go would be higher defense instead of crit avoidance.
I don't know what it's going to do for the people who have no protection or anything else to protect you fast enough.
Okay.
The amount of damage, and I'll have to record it because I'll probably try it again. Phil's going to talk about it, but it's like, for me, if I'm willing to give a 2-shot of using Treya on here, I felt better with Treya because you have to remember too, the other piece that's helping, they're doing out of turn attacks. They're doing their own damage to themselves as well, which helps us.
I'm trying to think about this. You have Night Trooper attacking out of turn, and then Morgan that calls a mass assist. Where else are we seeing a bunch of attacking out of turn?
That's where it's at. But if your blessed person will attack, there will usually be an assist that's followed behind it.
Okay.
I found it several times those are all helping because then you're also, what you're doing is you're plucking. And the other piece that comes into play, and it could be Savage is fine, but you're touching on those debuff characters to refill some of the health and protection you need.
I gotcha. Okay. All right.
I think it's there.
Okay. All right. Well, hey, appreciate you indulging me on that, guys. How about Luthen? Any inspiring uses? I'll go first. I had Saw on defense again early, and it got blown out later on. I saved Luthen for offense. Did Mon Mothma against Gungans, I want to say, and that was Mon Mothma, Luthen, Pow, Hoth Rebel Scout, Kyle Katarn. My Pow was the one that got stunned in their opener, so he never got a turn. Mon Mothma never got a turn, and Hoth Rebel Scout never got a turn. And that's a short way on how that one went. So I've heard other people have had decent experience against it. And then, yes, for all the people in week 1 that were saving their Mon Mothma Luthen and found that they could take down the tank Leia, this support Leia composition has emerged, and it looks like it looks like this is your defense. No, this is you attacking Bebe's defense. Interesting.
And I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to tell you something in this, and I did want to comment on it, but
please
look at my comp on the Luthen with the POW setup, and I'm going to say where this helps, but also can hurt you. Kyle with the gain here and the speed actually helped me a lot. And I was silly, and it could have been a clean 2-shot. I had everybody dead but Leia. And so if you look at 157, at 156, everybody was dead. And then I could have kept the fight and just had a Leia left. Like, I had it cleaned up. There were clocks cleaned everywhere. But because I didn't keep, she got the heal. One person died, everybody came back. That was my fight. So 156, everybody's dead but Leia. 157, I'm dead, had to back out.
Yep.
So I think there was legs to it, but to me, the Kyle helps because of the fact of the additional TM gain that you're giving, the damage that he brings in with the team itself, all of it felt really necessary, and each piece of the puzzle there also helped.
Yeah, I mean, I would assume that, particularly attacking against this attacker Kron. So we know that this Mon Mothma team really struggles against the support Leia, but against this attacker Leia, the
I would
challenge
ask
would be
you
to have enough.
why.
Well, I'm saying, well, hold
if
on,
I
let me finish the thought. I'm
But
saying, like, if you have enough defense on this Kron, I feel like I would rather drop Krex, like I see you have, and pick up Hoth Rebel Scouts, so you have a better chance at your turn meter loop,
Nope.
right?
And I'm going to counter you and say, why would I ever want to do that when
Mhm.
if I can get out in front, Krex can help control your fight. I really feel like every piece of that puzzle was in that team. Krex, remember, he's getting the 80 speed. He's doing all, or was it 90 speed? I know, no Fate don't know, but it's like the additional speed that he's getting plus AoE days, plus the ability to stop and stun. The pieces of it, I really felt like each piece was essential. Where I would want to use the Hot Throw Scout is true, but Kyle also gains additional speed and damage bumps. And if you assist on it too, it helps as well. So it can actually keep your team loop intact.
Interesting. All right. All right.
So I've got one other Luthen use that I tried that was fun. I knew it was a tall order, but I brought Mon Mothma Luthen against Aesop's JMK Cat with gas in it as well. So it was JMK Cat, GK, gas, and Snips. And I knew it was a tall order, but I had sort of the entire selection of Rebel fighters there. And and he had an attacker cron on it. I had Pow with the Pow cron Luthen, Kyle Katarn, and for my fifth, I actually went with K2. And the reason I did that is because I had a tank revive cron, and the big risk I felt in taking that squad against a JMK squad, because I'm pretty confident against most JMK squads. It's just that's a lot of DPS that he has with gas there, and if you lose two right out of the gate, they're going to their damage will outpace your health regeneration and your ability to revive. So I wanted I wanted Cat to leap K2, and then K2 comes back automatically without having to use Mothma's revive. I got through JMK once, so it kind of went as I was expecting. I got through JMK once. I could not get through JMK a second time. Before they took out Kyle Katarn. So K2SO went down twice, and I lost Kyle Katarn. And at that point, I was just being outpaced with damage. But I would say if it wasn't for gas, it had a shot. It had a real shot. And it was, if nothing else, I'd consider moral victory because I had fun trying it. So, yeah, that's what I did.
Okay. Oh, that's interesting. The summon guy would not have been able to eat the leap for you. Like you brought back the K2 for the soak of that.
This is Mon Mothma, so he doesn't he's not targeted.
Okay,
and
got it.
K2SO,
That's a saw thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it left me a little light. Like that cron actually has some nice armor pen on it, but it did leave me a little light on my DPS, and my inability to get through GK twice is what ultimately cost me. I knew I had to get through it twice, and then take out one of the other attackers, but I just couldn't get there.
Okay. Naturally, I wanted to make sure that we covered the Leia support team. We already talked about it. I mean, it's evolved as a response, I think, to this Mon Mothma counter that's emerged at least against the tank cron. But any interesting matchups that you wanted to discuss about that Leia fight? I just had the one, and against it, I took JML, just premium Jedi. Jedi Cal, JKR, JKL, and who? I don't think I took... Maybe I took Plo? I think I took Plo. I did take Plo. In fact, I took a Jedi Crom, and I took the right 3 I wanted and the right 6 I wanted, and my eye passed over the fact that it wasn't actually the Plo level 9. So I still 65'd it without a Plo level 9. With a Plo level 9, it's very, much quicker, 65.
So I have a cautionary tale on that. If you scroll up just a little, you'll see 4 consecutive lost battles, and you'll notice a theme in the opposing squad. So yeah, to our Leia support team, tried QA with a very high defense cron with the intent trying to survive. The issue was that by the time I had Pow go with an AOE and sufficient buffs to really make a difference there, he didn't finish anybody off, and he died to a rapid ult from Leia, and then I didn't have the DPS to take any of the sides out. The next one, to your point, JMK Plo, very doable, but the cautionary tale here is use direct focus from Revan on Leia. I had Leia in the red.
Mm-hmm.
R2 was next up. Suddenly she disappears. She regens really quickly off of an ult, and self-inflicted disaster there. The SLK, again, like the data actually wasn't great on that SLK. I know a lot of people said, "Oh, it's pretty easy," but it had like a 30 to 40% win rate in .gg. And I think my issue, I probably brought the wrong comp. I probably approached it incorrectly. But the big issue was my SLK lost the race to ult. His entire squad melted around him, and then Leia got to an ult before he could even get an early ult, and SLK was killed. And at this point, I'm like, screw it, I'm just going to mess around. What's a good way to at least get through Leia? So I went with a Maul LV squad. Because of old Ben's inclusion, starting with 5 stacks, Maul was able to just sort of rage through. But I think I probably got a little lucky that there was a stun out of the gate on ISC, but not on Gar. And so I was able to get assists from Gar. So Prime would be proud of that. It was Maul and Gar basically took out Leia. But yeah, bumps taken, lessons learned. And then, if you go to the other side and you look at Aesop's attacks, if you scroll down, you'll see he had 3 straight drops against mine as well. So it was, Leia's support was impactful in my match. I'd say that.
Oh, I like the Krex and Cassian that you have in your team. This is also a support cron. Also the CLS. So he's your only attacker on this team, and why him over Drogon? Like why? I've seen people run this, and that specifically. I guess, did you talk to Aesop and see, was the CLS actually just knocking people out? Because when I fought this once, the CLS really didn't do anything. Like, I kept him stunned the whole time.
Yeah, so we just chatted briefly, but not specifically on this battle. So no, I can't say in particular on this. I kind of had 2 reasons, neither totally compelling. Like, one was I had, if I hadn't needed K2 as the reviving tank on Mon Mothma, I liked the idea of Drogon as like a heavy hitting 5th for Mon Mothma. But it really was, I was okay with having CLS there, the debuffs that he provides, the fact that he has call to action of his own as well, so it made some sense. I don't know enough to be able to say like, hey, it was a huge difference maker. But Cassian's debuffs are definitely appealing.
Okay. Yeah. That seems intuitive. Like, that's a great matchup for this team. Okay. Yeah. Wow. That was really effective, and I'm glad we talked about this. A couple different comps. All right. Let's see, guys. Plans for set 18 here in week 3. I myself have a level 6 and a level 3, so not really for me. I don't know if any of you guys actually. Yeah. Broke down some of your set 16. What do you guys got cooking?
Say probably Sasha, the guy when it comes to DCs, because I literally have 0, man. Punishing 1 came out, and it was a choice in resources, and Punishing 1 won. 1-1? Yeah, 1-1. Punishing 1 won the choice of resource management of where we were going.
Fantastic. All right. Yeah, I mean, if it's secret sauce for you guys, I don't want to reveal your plans.
It's not really secret. I have 2 of them. I do expect I'm going to be at the cutting edge, really, for learning about this, because my first matchup this week, I think for the sixth time in 7 weeks, is Aesop, and Aesop has 8 of these at level 9 that I'm looking at, and with great envy. So I expect to be, well, probably to be treated the same way guinea pigs are in labs all over the world. So I'll learn more about it. But for my own, the 2 that I have are useful. They're the 2 that I was looking for. I have a Grand Inquisitor and I have a Star
Nice.
Killer. My impression of Star Killer is really, really powerful. Grand Inquisitor, I think, is going to be damn good too. And as much as anything for me, it like frees up what would have been like an attacker or support use Datacron by myself. So like, yeah, it's just nice to have. I am those were really the only 2 that I had targeted. There are other nice to have. But boy, on the light side, like I'd say other than like Sortie, there was nothing I was interested in chasing.
And that's a pretty accurate read of the situation. I know you guys get notified in my Patreon channel when we post it, but the me and Aesop did put out the set 18 Datacron guide, and yeah, my patrons have already had it for a couple days. It'll come out on public a little later here this week, but yeah, basically light side is bum. Like you have Sortie, and there may be some creative applications for Sortie, but unless like it's kind of weird, right? Because you're thinking, oh man, as jacked up as Karth is in the Old Republic faction, which by the way, Old Republic is the only light side faction on set 18.
Yep.
So
Really?
yes, yes,
Such-
it is the only faction.
Mercenary is exclusively dark.
Oh
So
my
if you get a
God.
mercenary, don't go back and try and re-roll a 3
Right.
hoping that you get a light side.
I know we're not doing a DC thing, but it almost honestly feels like, and I'm glad you're saying that because I would have been pissed re-rolling, obviously because
You gotta
resources
watch
are
my
light.
video.
But I haven't even started. I don't even have a level 3 dick when it comes to the Datacron, so I will watch it when the time comes. And I would say also, Sasha, you should go watch it for selfish reasons because you're facing the guy who's in the video, so you get to hear what his thoughts.
His bed's already made. He's already locked in for the week. It is what it is now.
He still gets to know, right? It's like, oh,
Fair
this
enough,
is what
fair
he-
enough.
So it's like you get to hear from the horse's mouth. But here's the other piece, right? Is we've talked about it before. The dark side is so cool, but is it going to be the set of fuck the level 3? All I care about is mercenary. And that's the only thing because everybody's got the mercenary tag. Does that turn into something that becomes what it'll have to be? We've seen it before. We had Ufu at one point.
Well, you have
and it was
both
like,
here now. So you have 2 winners in this set. 2 big
That's
winners.
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. And I'm not taking away. Go watch Tessa's video. I'm gonna do the same when the time comes. But will this set become we don't care what the level 3 is because now mercenary is the ultra who's got it or what it's gonna be. Same thing for like Ufu, right? It's like, well, if this is dark side, it's like, well, I don't care about the level 3 now because the level 6 is so strong. And I know we're gonna discover all that, but it's like that's the application that comes to mind. We've had it happen before where yes, everything was based on dark side for Ufu or whatever, but Seer made good on it, right? Or these other Ufu characters made good on it who are light side. Like you put Cat with the Ray team, and this is your Ufu team, and this is what this is going to do. So it's just those questions like that. I think 3s are going to be more fun. But that's
for sure,
that's
yeah.
that's my question is how it will look, right? Will mercenary and Ufu, like, we don't care about which side it's on. We just care about that these mercenary characters are getting a good bump by having it.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely Mercenary and Ufu are the big winners, and as far as the level 3, I mean, it's going to be dark. So, that's
It's going to be dark, but that's not entirely bad news because it's not the same level 3s on light and dark, and the dark has a couple that I think are really pretty appealing, and the light really doesn't. So, yeah, I don't mind it too much.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure you know what you're doing, and if you're going to try and re-roll and optimize.
Okay, well, that brings us through the meta-analysis. Let's talk about our favorite attack and defense of the week. For me, both of those happen to be, I think, in this round versus Barator. I learned several really good lessons here. Let's see. The first one being this Mon Mothma Luthen. Yeah, I just got hard shut down. And I talked with Tom Ford about this. He watched the stream and saw that it was unlucky that my POW got stunned in the first place. but I was wrong in my assumption that you still need to go after the shield generator. He was telling me that if I had been able to get going, I could have just been going after the Gungans directly. Apparently, POW and massive damage somehow negates that or gets around it. It sounds possibly bugged. I don't know. I don't know how you're supposed to read what massive damage does, but it seems weird. Either way, I learned that. And I failed here using Radis versus Queen. Folks were saying that POW was not necessary. So if I tried this again, I might try it with POW and I don't know. See, that's the thing. Chirrut was pretty nice to shake debuffs at a certain point, but Baze was really great to cleanse them off too. So dropping Chirrut for POW, I might do a little better, but here's the rub. We got easily very quickly we got to Hope. So it was no issue. No real danger of us losing anybody until we got to Hope. Got to it, had the Rogue One buff, but we also did not have at the same time offense up. And I, sat there on stream and hemmed and hawed about it for a few seconds and, ultimately decided to pull the trigger on Hope. And it killed only Padawan Obi-Wan. And it only killed Padawan Obi-Wan because he had 10 exposes on him. All right. So if I had to do it again, I would think I'd need to wait for both, having the Rogue One buff and offense up.
I'm going to tell you, I watched your fight. And I was screaming, use hope, just go with the thing, right?
And then I did.
I'm going to tell you.
And then it went.
But it wasn't wrong. But I'm going to tell you the differentiator that I think clutched it. It's GMY. It's all of the pieces we've talked about before in our many conversations. If you go to my round one, I watched Zera's fight. And I had the same thing, Shock and Bad Batch Echo. And you would think this is the thing, right? If you go to round one, I had the same setup and did this. And having all of these pieces and the disruption that GMY brings in the fight is, to me, the big differentiator if you're going to try the using AdRad there. That felt different. So round one, no, not in week 2, week 1. So you go to, because I tried this against Mike. We were doing this. So week 1, round 1, against Mike, I went and did it. He put in the Bad Batch Echo, and he did the Shock.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, everybody was basically gone.
I dig it.
Except for, so that's what I'm saying. So if you look at the way the life is for everybody else died except for Shock. Shock stayed alive. And if you watch Zera's fight, week 1, round 1, when he did it, the only person who lived was Bad Batch Echo. Now, I watched your fight, and I watched GMY in there, and the disruption that GMY brings, stopping your shit, is to me what really felt like the difference maker.
Yeah, the product
I'm saying,
stack.
What he did there, messing with your fight, is what really stopped you from having the same effect that I had. Because I took the same exact team, no problem with Bad Batch Echo there. It goes through like butter, and it plays just fine. I watched yours. Okay. You did it just fine. You got to it quick, which is what you want to be at. But GMY disrupting your team, putting on the foresight, stopping the things for you to do stuff. It's like all of these things that you don't want to happen happened.
Okay.
I don't call that a bad time. I call that character the difference maker to say it stopped what you're wanting to do with the AdRad.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. All right. No, I appreciate that. That's a good underscoring. So that was good stuff on attack. I mean, and then on defense, I did get this hold with this Leia support, and interestingly, Barator has definitely not been setting Jabba most this season. He's not liking seeing people taking it down with Afra and whatnot. So he's been flexing it on offense against a variety of things, and he thought this was the best application. I'm glad to see that not only did he not try something like Mon Mothma, but Jabba also failed, so I enjoyed seeing that. TJ, how about you? What you got?
I absolutely hated my week, man. My favorite defense, and it's not the sad fault to like to my 0.5 Executor. Executor is the only reason I won my round 3, so I'll call my defense that. Everything else was shit. It all just fell apart like it was supposed to.
Okay, defensively it was just that one fleet win, but what about...
that was it.
Nothing interesting you want to cite on attack?
I'll tell you. You know what? I'll tell you that was cool. That Obi said to me, and I hadn't seen it, and I tried. So if you go to his defense, and what I wanted to try, I was going to try the AdRad. I wanted to see because it felt so good going against the support setup. He set Plo. He set
in
the
what
tank
team?
set
Sorry, in his
round 3
Queen.
Queen Amidala.
Yeah,
So on
okay.
the Queen team, he decided to set Plo. And
You mean
no,
Echo?
that's no. Go to his defense, my attack.
Oh, well, yeah.
And
That's
it's
where
like
I
I'm
was.
calling this out as what you said a favorite defense. It's
Yeah,
like so
yeah.
everybody sets, and we've seen it before the top ETH, right?
Mhm.
He decided to set the Plo team with the 2 tanks, and I'll tell you what, this shit is. You talked about stop stealing my team. You want to talk about a team being so frustrating? It was look at who's alive and who's dead, right? Plo. So the damage is out. I could not get around these 3. They were pissing me off so bad. They stole my shit. They locked my ad red down. I could not play the game. It was just so it was cool to see something different than just the Plo with the JMK. That was awesome.
Okay.
The other one
yeah,
that really fucked me up was Cat on Ray. So I took it and I took the assumption. So again, this was my week of just hard lessons learned. He took Cat on Ray, and the amount of damage that was coming off of this team, and just lambasting, just character to character.
Yeah. I actually really like this because if you see your opponents prone to using Jedi, I would think that most people would be trying to execute Nest first. And it's like, yeah, well, good luck with that.
No, you have to do Cat.
Right.
You have to stop
Yeah.
the damage because the damage is being dispersed to the team. And so here's the other piece. He takes Chewie in there, so nobody is getting stunned for shit. So that's the other piece. That is, I was trying to stun anything and everything. So if you look, I'm taking to try to stun. Nothing's happening. Nobody's doing anything. They're all just standing there and they just picking apart my team.
And
if
this
you look,
composition with Chewbacca in there, right? That's Chewbacca. So that means Nest is immune to stun.
Everybody was sitting there. So so I had to take JML because I'm like, all right, I'm just going to take Seer because I'm not paying attention. So I'm like, this feels strong enough. No, it does not. And no, it is not. And if you can afford to take your JMK or take your Cat and put it with Ray, man, this team right here, because everybody's using Seer, you look at the team I took. I didn't take.
I actually really like that because I think in week 1, at least one of my opponents did JMK no Cat as just a clean 57 to whatever Gungans you set.
He put it in the back, but this was a cool idea. If he put Plo somewhere, and he did, and I'm not worried about that, but it was like this was a greater use, in my opinion, having the Cat on the Ray. We already know how strong it is. With that super nest, holy shit, man. So if they're using Seer, that was a cool trick that he did for me. And then also the Queen. These were cool comps that he set on me where it's like, let me try this, and that shit don't work. And then that was set up against JML, also super scary because just nobody could get stunned. So you are literally, be careful. Attack, the only one I like, and I'll keep saying it, is if I see you and you set Jabba, I'm taking DTMG. This is my favorite fun counter. Out of all this bullshit, this has been the most fun I've had, and I don't care the cron you set on me. Set tank, set support. Yeah, you'll start. No, you won't. No, you can set all of your greatest hits. I feel like I'm the DTMG of Fatal when it comes to his sisters, right? And you can't. It's like, bring me your Jabba. This is the same thing I feel with Gideon. People are like, it doesn't work no more. Man, this is so much fun. I even screwed up and took Dark because we talked about it before. The key 4 characters that I have on there feel like they're key. The Night Trooper, it actually really is essential, in my opinion, on this team for how it lines up for your turn order and what he does to help with the damage output. The fact that he gets to go again, the fact that he gets to see things, it all helps. All of these things come together very fast because it's just killing the pieces around you. Like I said, I took Dark by mistake, and you think, oh no, then you're probably going to lose it. I mean, look, on my round 3 against Obi, he set the support setup. With Dark, I'm still full bannering it. It just, those 4 are great. I will say Dark was fun. I like Death as the 5th because it removes the buffs, so you have more room to maneuver through the team, and also if you want to slow them down. But Dark on that was super strong. So that's my favorite, man. It's super fun and I love it. And please, by all means, set Java, because even if I only attack one time, that's what I'm going for.
All right, I gotcha. Sasha, how about you? Favorite attack and defense of the week?
Honest answer would be both would involve that layer support cron, but
Yeah.
just in the interest of just adding something different to the discussion, actually, like pulling on the DTMG thread, like I faced an LV DTMG with the Moff Gideon, Kron, Thrawn, and Maul, and I just wanted to push Bo-Katan against it, and I knew that would be kind of one of the stronger LV
Oh,
comps.
wow.
Yeah, so that was a fun battle. It did help. You'll notice I've had a healer cron. I
Yeah, I was
specifically
just
did
about to
that.
ask you about that, please.
Yeah, I find that IG-12 gets hard targeted fairly often, and it
Hmm.
was the case. And IG-12 was the first of my characters to die and came back. So it was that cron sort of the benefit of LV. I got lucky that LV was not in ult at that point to prevent a revive. But when Grogu died, he came back, and that bought me just enough time to whittle down the rest of the squad. But like. Yeah, that was very strong defense. It's no joke. Obviously, it costs you Galactic Legend with his Lifter Maul, plus your DTMG squad with the
Hmm.
with the MG Cron. So it's got a lot going for it, but it still narrowly pulled out with BKM. So that was a lot of fun.
That's
But
incredible.
yeah, so just a very fun battle. And then I think we've touched on mine that were more interesting defenses. My Gungans had good success against him. I think they held three times, but nothing that was other. Or I guess they held,
Yeah, Finn
yeah, three
Zori
times.
wiped out. Radis without POW wiped out, but he did have K2 with the K2 Kron. And then,
Yeah,
okay, I don't know. I assume this one was just for the memes. I
yeah,
don't know.
yeah,
I don't know.
yeah. It's the kind of options you go to when you're facing the same opponent
Right.
for the
Now
sixth
look
time in
at this
7 weeks.
bastard,
So
though. Look at this bastard. He got to pull off what I got dusted on. Ah, why? Why did you get to do this? What is it? Okay, you
honestly, I
have
gotta
more
admit it. It's
defense.
it's
Hmm.
I,
I don't
I
know.
I had more defense, and it's felt pretty comfortable when I've done it. I don't know. I'm guessing your rebel fighters are well relicked.
They are,
I
yeah.
did. Okay, maybe it is the
Nobody's under
defense.
8. Nobody's under 8.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
So,
It's worked.
I don't know.
I guess I say I feel like it's worked pretty well for me, but it works well for me until it doesn't, and it seems to have worked for
Well, I'll
Aesop.
tell
So
you what.
yeah.
Give me just a second here. You don't. Nobody has to take this on faith. Maybe you guys will see something that I missed. Let me pull up the fight. Take me but a second. Bane Mamath. There it is. Okay. Dragging
We're
this
not
on
looking at that.
screen.
Oh, you got it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. You see now?
Yep.
All right. So I'm thinking about how I need to get rid of frustration.
Mhm.
So I end up using his third, yeah. Okay. So I feel like
You
this
cleanse
round-
again here.
Yep, that's what I feel like is the right move. Now
Yep.
again, I have the
All right.
generator targeted, thinking that's the right thing. Is that the wrong thing?
That is what I've done. So
Okay, okay.
I know Tom said you don't need to do that, but I target the generator.
So you just
I
saw
have,
you saw all this that happened, right? You saw where the choices
I
portion of
did.
the show ended.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I would
remember
say
watching the stream.
it's interesting to see because it almost reads like what you would do with what's his name, right? Because I was saying not needing to be targeted. We saw the same thing when we had the old Gideon, right? Old Gideon wouldn't have to target the generator, and people were dying with the massive damage. So that does track with what Tom is saying.
Yeah,
Because we were
but
seeing
here's
this.
Sasha saying that he wasn't even following that, and I'm saying you saw me get like two
But
turns,
it's Sasha.
and that's the end.
And his crons are superhuman. So it's like, are we really talking
Yeah.
1-to-1 here? Even relic
And
levels,
it-
bro.
yeah.
So
I
there's
just
that.
got to comment. I just got to comment. It's like we talk about all the time with relic levels and all of that, and I'm not talking about modding. There's no
Mhm.
questioning your modding task. but DCs are a level of modding, and I guarantee you, not being a dick.
No, I hear you. I had to try.
His Datacron is not your Datacron. So therefore, when you say Sasha got it to work, it's like the other things we've seen with Sasha that have done, where it's like, well, it's probably not the same. But I do like the call, and I think this is for everybody out there, and this is also good to note. Tom saying don't need to do it, and I'm just commenting the observation that makes sense because when Gideon was Super Gideon, he wouldn't have to target the the generator, and people were still dying when we're able to do Gideon by himself. So it's true seeing that the massive damage can still work. So that's just kind of like an observation from both perspectives, and it kind of is fun to see.
All right, fair. Okay, Sasha, we got you covered then.
Yeah, that's
All
got
right.
it.
Let's hear from Fatal. Fatal, I'm imagining that you've been just wrestling kittens in the background. You've been kind of quiet, so I'm just assuming that you've been unburying yourself from a pile of kittens.
I've been here listening. I don't find support Leia. I don't think set 18's all that good. So I'm just kind of, I'm here. I'm chilling.
Just chilling. Okay. All right. Well, hey, what do you got to say about your week? So. What do you got to say about attack and defense of the week?
Defense, I mean, there were defensive results, but I don't know. I mean, I guess maybe Saw. Like, I think Saw got holds all 3 rounds and, like, bloodbath one person pretty badly.
Against Canada, he took CLS. You keep hearing people say, don't set Saw because CLS will just eat it up. So I don't know if... I don't know. I've never tried it myself. I have to assume there's some technique to it.
I've gotten 2 holds. So,
okay.
Yeah, please keep using CLS. I wish you would.
Somebody rolled up in there with Treya next. Wow. Yeah. All right.
What's funny is I use CLS on it, right? And so I'll be one of the people saying it, but I would also say one of the pieces that's gonna be what's gonna matter is Fatal's Saw would not be the normal Saw. So I just want to comment again because I'm usually against real people. I actually played it was Michael or somebody else. So it was a legit team, but that doesn't mean it was Fatal's team. So we had to keep going back to the comment of it's like, yeah, it always works. It's like, well,
can you share your insights behind why you have Jin set in this team, Fatal?
Would you like to see Jin being in this team? I have, well, not a link handy, but I can make it handy real fucking quick.
No. Am I not looking at your defense? Yeah, this is your defense end of last week. You had it here.
I'm saying I can literally show you.
Oh, you want to show? Oh, please, let's see it. Yes. Oh, yes.
Canada would love to show me a video clip of a fight where Jin. And I mean, again, this is the thing that I always talk about with theory crafting is like, there is so much shit in this game. Jin is not that good of an addition to the team. But I think Jin is a character who, despite not being that good, is like JTR, where the moment that you look down on her, I mean, it turns out when you look down on something, your face is kind of pointing down. It makes it easier to uppercut you.
Okay, well, here, let me restart the clip. All right, here we go. I mean, if you want to talk through anything, but yeah, we'll hear.
I don't really particularly have all that much to say, but just watch the flow of the fight. Watch the flow of the fight and see if you get caught by surprise.
Okay, so the strategy is to brap him down and AoE him out once he goes under stealth. Okay. Alright, so they're trying to get after your Saw. You get debuffed. You shake him off him. You don't get the follow-up from the dazed Chewie. Okay. Okay. Did she basic him? Did Jin basic?
Technically, the moment has not come yet. If I'm.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's already situation grim. Okay. All right. That's kind of cool. That is super hard hitting. Okay. Oh my god. God, all this happened before Saw got to do any of that. That's just that's so
This
bad.
is, as I said, if
All
you want
right,
to talk
you
about
got the Saw, okay,
Oh.
but then yeah, of course. So you succeed in your objective. Of course, you kill
Yeah.
the leader.
no,
Jin's
because
purpose.
she's gonna bring it right back.
But wait, there's
Yeah,
more.
Jin,
Exactly.
yeah, Jin's realization is there.
We hit
Yeah.
him. We hit him with the Billy Mays.
Yep.
All right,
I
can
already
dig
tell
that.
you, I already see where the fail is because doing the fight, I can already call out the point. The minute you have not you have to have the saw down. It's like when I've done the fight and see where this point of
dig
success, her stopping the bullshit and then bringing it back. I'm like, you're watching in horror because one of the big pieces is you have the fight controlled. So even if you put corrects on there and things like that, there's no control mechanism. You haven't done the job.
That's
The whole
so
reason
funny.
for the CLS with attacker and why people say it will work. And I'm watching and I'm looking at Jen and she's just a ticking time bomb, right? Not for the big AoE. I know that's fatal modding and that's great and that's cool. But it's the fact that you watch Saw is not done to stop, and now he's hiding and it's like, oh shit. That hasn't happened even with attacker. That's why people say I'll just use CLS is because it's not that. And the fact that the first thing she's gonna do is pull, try to stop you, stun you, pull the TM, and then or was it AOE, and then she's gonna hit you, right? So that turn order setup was awesome. So that's perfect.
Full fairness here, that was not Jin modding, that was just CG printing a Datacron that says you have infinite crit damage, and she happens to have the attacker tag. No, the whole point of that big turn, it wasn't the characters dying, it was the reset button of you killed the character, but no, you fucking didn't. She's JTR, but then one of your buttons for some reason is also a turn swap, and well, not swap, but it's a turn pass and also a team revive, or not team revive, but a single revive.
Right.
Right, but it's like it's just enough, and then for some reason she gives. Well, there's not that many Rogue One in this comp, but like she gives Rogue One buff immunity as well, which is like slightly in conversation with support crons. That it's like, I don't know. I'm not out here saying like rah rah rah. It's Jin, but like,
well, I
she's
mean,
she's a character who doesn't matter until she does.
Seeing that it's already the scuttlebutt on the street that it can be beaten with CLS, and in fact, both of your opponents last week did attempt it, and in fact did fail. I think you've got something there. That's nice.
I like also. I like her turn order. Her turn steps are awesome as well. Her AI is simple in what it does, which is awesome. So I didn't want to cut you off, such, but it's like her steps are and shit.
No, I do.
Yeah, I mean, it's what you want on defense. You want to inject randomization and variability, right? Like it's like in the old school days when I used to. Before it was completely pointless, I'd set Night Sisters on defense a lot in the early days because, sure, there were quite a few counters that were like 80%, but I would absolutely be happy to have my last defense have a 20% of getting a hold just because of something random.
Your damn Phoenix that don't die to Tuskens because they have high tenacity, you bastard.
That happens too.
But that's what I'm saying. I love the puzzle, and I know Fatal's talked so many times about creating the puzzle because it's just like I said, watching that and seeing that opening, and it definitely did not go any of the way that you needed to go in the opening. And it's like that first 10 seconds of a fight, and it didn't go. It's like, oh shit, oh Fatal, you smart bastard. That's a good one. That's it. He's created the puzzle because you can't stop the fight. I think that was awesome.
No, I like that a lot. That, yeah, it's the same. Yeah, any of the kill the leader so you can clean it up strategies. I like it. It's a really nice protection. No also, attacks you want. Sorry, go ahead.
No, also apparently I helped Atreya against Canada after the CLS fight, which kind of surprised me.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought I'd mentioned that actually. I was surprised that it also held to that right after, which you would think. I'm not surprised that it ultimately would lose, but I am surprised that it lost with having only gotten Saw down. That does surprise me. So this is.
I think you said that Saw was the only person he could annihilate or something. So
So he was probably death marked with full health and shit, not ready to die at all, except for being exposed by death mark.
Yeah, and then offense side of things, I guess I would just say, like, I don't know, look at round 3, and then just scroll down until things start to look weird. Actually, I will actually say, so set 3 was not a fun day, because it was, you know, despite my Sauger getting a fuck ton of holds, it was still, like, a high efficiency day for the opponent, and so,
You've got to be fucking kidding me. What is this? What in the fuck is this? I lose when I do this with a full team with the Sabine Kron, and you're gonna fucking 3-man it with a tank. Explain yourself. What is this?
You want to know something that's really cool? Pause. They go. Are you able to like just like look at Pause Vizsla's kid right now?
Yeah, I can pull up Pause, no problem.
Just look at his first special, and like
Sure thing.
Look at it with fresh eyes, so to speak. Because I was like, wait, why does my team have full banners again?
Okay, deal physical damage to all enemies and inflict breach and crit damage down for 2 turns. Gain 5 stacks of heat, max 10, or overheat, max of 20. Until the end of the battle, can't be copied, dispelled, or prevented. Gain 1 stack of resilient defense until the end of the encounter, max 10. Mandalorian allies recover protection equal to 10% of Paz's max protection. So you load him up with 4, I'm assuming? Well, you would do protection primaries then, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's
to be extremely clear, this was not on purpose. I was like, why am I regenerating protection?
No, that's cool. I mean, I still obviously going with BKM's lead. You're mostly thinking that health would be the way to go, but wow.
But this I think is one of the best like basic abilities in the game.
Yeah.
Like, not non-ultimate or any of that stuff, but like you give your team protection regen. You taunt. You gain 50% turn meter. You give your team 2 turns of critical immunity. You remove the enemy team's turn meter. You daze the enemy team. You give the enemy team speed down. You give the enemy team crit damage down. It's like, what is happening here? Wow. Yeah, and like, just the do everything button. And so, yeah, I don't know. I don't really have any one fight so much as to say, like, I kind of threw up my hands and said, nah, like, even though my defense has done fairly well this season, I don't think defense is good. I think it's more so just,
yeah,
you know, some traps were effective and like some opponents made some mistakes. But the moment that I fought an opponent who was like, no, I'm just gonna hold enough, I can just kind of steamroll over you, and then yeah, the Zori fight, the second fight on the round 3, it was like, again, it was an efficiency day. This fight was actually technically cool. But it was also just like the fight that is immediately like, well, today's over, so fuck it. I'll just do whatever now. This was a Zori fight where it wasn't a cat nest, but it was just a nest with like light side buffs in it. Enough to just like, even though I brought 374% defense, I had lost my Resistance Hero Fin and my OG Fin, like, pretty much before Zori got to play the video game.
Wow, yeah.
And so I was like, well, that's kind of a done deal. Like, GK was dead already from the Starkiller attempt beforehand, but I just started pushing buttons and, like, basically somehow reverse swept the team because support Kron plus 2 attackers. And, I mean, Rose is alive, and Rose is all that matters in that team, despite what anyone who has opinions will tell you. Like, no, Rose is the core. You can lose both Fins. I could lose Hero Poe, and as long as that tenacity up keeps chugging, the train will keep going.
And that's really just her basic, right? Isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
When I play Rose, I pretty much never use her other buttons unless it's like a very strategic, like, okay, well, I need to not hit you but remove your TM, or like, well, you're in damage immunity, I can't damage you anyway, so I'm just gonna go for a stun on you to like let you out of lock. Is like, no, dude. The rest of the time, like, it was like, all right, shit, I gotta deal with Nest, and then Poe hits her for like 300k. I'm like, oh, I guess I just win now. Why they're all already below lock somehow, despite like this being a 3v5. So this wasn't even technically a 3v5, but I think this like put me in the mindset that it was just like, I'm just gonna start trying weird shit, and it didn't all go well. Like, I did the 3 men with
I see
Cal.
this.
but-
That was cheeky. Of you.
Well, I don't know if I don't know what it was. I accidentally put weapon tech on Bastila, and so immediately was like well, fuck. I basically just lost because of not being able to revive block the dark side tank revive. But then also this weird moment of like, wait, but Bastila is feeding support Kron, so actually technically it's not bad right now. My Cal's damage is ramping. I kind of want her to stay alive. But the situation being what it is, she was never going to stay alive for that long, so it was
Right.
like, oh, this sucks. Wait, there's a glimpse of this kind of working. No, it's not gonna last. But like, it was support Kron Basila was actually almost something there, despite the team having high crit avoid. It was like, oh, that could maybe probably never be something, but almost was.
All right.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of just I don't know what I'm going to be doing, but I took off every defense team, and I wouldn't say that I'm an efficiency player, but I mean, we have a few. I mean, you're an efficiency. I don't know if it's fair to say, but you have been playing efficiency. You have been known.
I
to
have
be
been doing
efficient.
as I have needed to do. Yeah, if I
Sure,
had it
yeah.
my way, I would enjoy setting more interesting defenses. But like there's certain players where they are always playing efficiency, and if you are not well practiced in fighting them in kind, when the meta doesn't favor actual defense holding, then you just straight up lose to that. And I mean, I had to practice it more, but it is not what I prefer. Yes, but you're right. I've been getting a lot of 63 plus banner full clears lately. Yes.
So here's my question to the room. Then is I kind of just assumed that like efficiency was a sol dev thing that like you do whatever value counters and then you just overkill with GLs on non GLs or whatever. Like this whole kind of risky business of like not I don't think death defying is the right word, but like you saw like the Bo-Katan 3v5 against Gungans and that made you say the fuck. Is like how explored is this area? Because I was looking at Insight and I was looking at Undermans and it actually didn't seem all that populated. That kind of surprised me. So like I don't know, this might be something that I try to mess around with. I know somebody like one is Treya versus Saw. One is Afra against Finn. These are not like, and the other one's like Bo-Katan against Gungan. So like, these are already established core counters that normally I would roll my eyes at when I'm running on stream. But like, I don't know, can I artificially inject risk under the promise of pretense of banners and then try to optimize to undersize while still being healthy? Is like, I don't know. Is this like a direction for the future to acknowledge that defense, despite it largely working, shouldn't be working, and so this could just be a thing to explore to keep 5v5 fun.
Yeah, I think Finn. I think Afra versus Finn could probably continue to be done undermanned. The BKM. So I'm seeing all of these Gungans are Relic 7, and I'm assuming you're fighting them that and stronger.
Yeah, it's not an even matchup.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I wonder if you could get away without at least like just regular Bo-Katan in there for the restoration. Still maybe 4-man it, but like, I don't know if you can get away with 3 against all Relic 9 Gungans, 300+% defense, Kron kind of a thing.
So to be clear, my question is not specific to these fights, it's just big picture.
Yeah.
I think there's value in looking for undermans. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm happy to dive in, and it kind of actually strikes like a little bit of a nostalgic chord for me, Fatal. Like when I think back a year and a half, 2 years ago, when it felt like it was a more robust competitive landscape, when we would go through certain phases. I do recall periods of like, where we just really kind of lacked defensive viability, and you would see certain players start to sort of flow creative juices into those undermans. And actually, this will probably be relatable to you, but like just in like there are certain players who you just really kind of come to respect their play style and their creativity is sort of is manifested in that play style. Segamaro and his creative defenses, for one, right? Like there are folks that do that. I remember during certain efficiency periods, like for example, Michael is a player, that's always been competitive in GAC and then very strong. I remember points when it was a fairly efficient meta, and I remember him being somewhat on the cutting edge of undermining stuff. There was a period when Kabuki, when he would lean in, when Partik as well, before he transitioned his account. I do remember periods of that where some of the creativity was coming out on Underman, but it was at points when like it was sort of more progressive and just sort of universally accepted. Hey, we are just in this efficiency meta. I think towards the end of a season, particularly like the week 3 in the season where we are now, where things are solved, I think it's a great idea to just start to lean into that. And if there is, going into next season, less and less defensive viability, I think you're at a competitive advantage finding more and more of that. But like certainly even at the end of a season, like where we are right now. So I do remember it historically from some folks. I will say, like, those were like the competitive matches. One of the reasons I remember it like so clearly is those were competitive matches where I felt at a huge disadvantage just because those types of creative things that they were doing, hadn't tried to go underman and really optimize purely for banners. I was looking to try and get holds on defense. But once you concede, maybe I'm not going to get a hold, but I can scrape together across 11 battles, a dozen banners that the opponent won't get. That's pretty darn meaningful. I remember those being a real challenge. And one of the things that I kind of like to sort of flip it back over is like, if people are going to go efficiency and they're not accustomed to running into a strategy like yours where you're undermanning in an unusual spot, that punishes it, because they'll run their course. They're going to want to be on their like safe ground, and they still can't keep pace. So it's interesting. That's my recollection of it, though.
I don't expect to be good at it, is kind of the thing. But, or at least I expect it will be a process of getting good at it because I literally don't do efficiency to begin with.
Yeah.
But, like, I don't know. If the goal is to make offense fights interesting, this seems like how do you take a fight that's like basically unlosable and make it losable is like going to be an interesting question for the future.
It's
losable, but also
I don't. The only pleasure there is to take is the perfect execution of the plan, right? Getting 65 after 65 or above that, if your underman plan works the way you want it to. That is huge for the reason Sasha just said. I mean, even just stripping a handful of banners across the whole defense is absolutely, determinative. Like getting 12 would be wild because I have lost by 5 or less on more than a handful of occasions for those matchups. Yeah, I mean, I think you could find a way to do it your own way. You'll have to set maybe lighter defense, but you could make it up with this offensive undermanning. That is a counter to your own style of play that still fits within your wheelhouse, though. I think that can work for you, and you'll need to adapt to it regardless because these people are rife up there. I know we've all fought Zid at different points too. Zid and players like him that have excellent rosters, top-notch mods, and also tend to set fairly light boards that nevertheless offer the potential to strip banners off of you. And then he just perfects
exactly. That's the reframing of the challenge. Like you only have to go as far as you might want, but if you were to limit what resources you have available on defense so that you can ensure that you can take on an efficiency approach, I suspect you're going to be more aggressive and leaning out further than anybody else will on that front. But yeah, it's like if you're going to embrace an efficiency match, then the only thing that I found tough about that when I decided at certain points to try and fight efficiency with efficiency is I'm not wired that way. Maybe my sort of executional side wasn't as strong, and my vulnerability to the temptation of taking some risk, it's not what it used to be. So that's the other challenge. But that's if you're playing to win. If you're playing to have fun, dude, then there's nothing to sweat.
Yeah.
I mean, there will always be there was always going to be some part of it that's playing to win. So that I don't know. It's weird times for me in the game when that doesn't jive with also playing to win, or like playing to have fun is like different from playing to win. But I mean, it was kind of fun of just like, if there's novelty here, I think that does a lot for me. Of like, how weird can we make this shit? Is like I can do a lot with that. I think, or like I get a lot out of that. So,
yeah, it's just a different. You can think of it just as a way to grow your own playbook, if you'll excuse the expression, because you have such a well-worn way that you like to approach the game, and it's successful for you. But it is vulnerable to this thing that is increasingly common the higher back up you're climbing, and finding your way of how you want to deal with that is going to be essential for you to stick up there, because you're going to get hit by the squish. You're going to be under constant pressure to feel like you're getting pushed out of the top 100 because of just the squish plus the erodiums at the end of every season. So you're really going to hate where your gut is going to be like what Sasha's saying, where it's like, I want to take an experiment. And you see me do it on stream here just this week. Like, I really want to do this because I haven't done it, and I hear it works. I see data that it works. It feels like it's not risky, and if it works, the upside for the rest of my clear is huge, and then it fails. And it's like, okay, well, I happen to have been fighting an opponent that already had like a couple drops on my wall, so I had some latitude there. But again, you're talking about people that might not drop even 10 banners on your whole defense. You just sunk your own ship there, trying something that looked justified. So that is going to be the balance, because you're willing to gamble on your theory crafting ahead of any data, and I feel like I'm going at it in a safer position, going off of data, and then still getting piped. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, no, makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting times at the very least, and that's enough for me for now.
Oh, fair enough. All right, guys, we have made it here to the last segment. It's time for takeaways and final thoughts. So going into week 3 here, TJ, what are you looking forward to try? What lessons are you looking to apply here? And what's your last word for the people after that?
Man, find joy. I like Fatal. Fatal did some cool stuff. I also hate Fatal because he made a comment, and I was talking about it before. Fatal is like, he's finding his joy, and I think that's awesome. For me this week, I go off of like, yes, completely made mistakes of where it was at, but I was also just not feeling it. And Fatal talked about it before, where he was like, I just don't know where I'm at. I don't know what I'm playing. And it's like, that's how I kind of feel right now. So damn Fatal for being right. I guess it's going to be, word of the day is going to be punishing one. I think everybody loves ships. And I wouldn't talk about it here.
Yeah,
but,
we can do that here. We can do that right here. I meant that we were going to talk about it, so we can spend a couple minutes on that punishing one. Any plans that you guys feel comfortable with sharing about applications for it, or is it all very hush-hush for you?
We are in the is it or is it not on defense, because even at 3 stars, it's a dangerous ship, right? So is it or is it not on defense?
I'm assuming that when I'm saying this, I'm talking about defense. I agree with you.
That's the idea. It's like the same thing we talked about Obi, right? He didn't set sisters on me, and a 3-star punishing one takes out cleanly Leviathan.
Yeah.
Cleanly. Right? Like, we just had one in our ship arena in mine. A 6-star executor. 6-star executor of a 6.6 million. And that dude blasted up the top 50 to the top thing. And what I would consider to be the toughest shard in all of ships is mine, who split. And this dude with 220 battles blasted up with a 5-star punishing one and a 6-star executor. I mean, when have you seen a 6-star executor? But this man just blew through everybody. So it's like a 3-star. We all know a 3-star is so strong, it's taking out Leviathan like it's nobody's business. So what the question can become is one, is it most likely on defense? I'm sure for most people it is, but also you have the opportunity of, well, I can set all 3 meta, and then if you set Leviathan on me, I'll just take punishing one. and then we'll just go from there. So it's like,
yeah, but you can't set all 3 meta if you're keeping punishing one.
Well, I mean, sorry, but if you're like, you could set your Leviathan, you could set a heavier defense now. And
sure,
play the
one
game.
that doesn't involve Executor, but that's the thing. I think perhaps Executor feels like it might be the most challenging defense now. Now, as far as composition goes, the to be or not to be is about Houndstooth. Houndstooth up front, or are you going triple attacker? You know, with what is it? Razor Crest, Punishing, and I guess Xanadu.
It's definitely Xanadu.
Yeah.
It is not IG in that. You don't. There's not even a choice in that. It's definitely the setup of Houndstooth or triple attacker with punishing one in place of that. Yeah.
So the thing is, then, I've heard that having Houndstooth up front impedes Leviathan. I think that's what I remember hearing. I don't really have a lot to say about it because what I've been doing just in Fleet Arena, is just the triple attacker I mentioned. I haven't experimented with the reinforcement order, but Boba seems to be consistently getting called out ahead of Houndstooth, which I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. I feel like it's potentially really strong because your contract can pop off super fast. I'm talking I forget. I think it's the contract popping off that lets Boba drop the mine, right? Not the locked debuffs. I think it's the contract completing from Razor Crest. Either way, the condition that allows him to come in and just drop the mine gets fulfilled super quickly. So if he isn't able to do it when he immediately comes in, I've seen a lot that by the time he gets his second turn, it's just mine. So, any thoughts from you guys that you're comfortable with sharing? Again, we might all have some secret sauce we're working on. I'm not trying to drag that out of you.
It's not secret sauce for me. It's more, okay. Look, I will never complain about having an inactive fleet shard. It is pretty cool to just not really have to worry about that part of the game. But I mean, I'm in a situation where I have ideas and things I would like to try in the ship's meta, and there are some 3-star, 4-star, but I don't know. Like, I know people are saying that it does some stuff, but I'm not sure that it really seems to pose the biggest threat, I would imagine, or whatever, because the thing that scares me the most is punishing one getting out in front, I think. I will, knowing that I can't really test it, I will kind of hold my feet to the fire from the last podcast with regards to, I was talking a pretty big game regarding resistance, and obviously I haven't been able to test it for clear reasons, but since that podcast, we got the update on Wednesday that made the flow of the fight pretty clear. So I will amend my prediction, but still defend myself a bit here. So I think with triple attacker, the CG did what they needed to do of no, it will call Razor Crest every time. No, it will aim consistently for the weakest ship every time. So what I kind of foresee happening here is I think there's going to be, as you kind of mentioned, this sort of seesaw between is it Houndstooth opener or not. And I think Resistance, if it has inroads, it will be against the Houndstooth opener because that will give them a bit of breathing room. The triple attacker opener is just fucking savage. If the fleet that you're running just lets them, mark into mass assist with breach is just fucking good night. Xanadu out on the field.
Yeah.
So I have not given up on that in the slightest, but the moment that I heard how hard programmed the opener was, it's oh yeah, it's not triple attacker. Not even. I really strongly doubt it. I mean, maybe there's plug and play flex. You never know. But
so you're saying you don't expect to see a lot of triple attacker on defense then, like this? The new triple attacker, I mean, of course.
And with regards to whatever is going to be done with it, again, I'm kind of flying blind. I'm the only person getting the ship in my shard, so it's
yeah.
The people in my shard probably have a better idea than I do.
What to use against it, yeah. All right, fair enough.
I don't know. We'll see.
Any insights from you, Sasha? Any thoughts about punishing one?
Really, none. I haven't used it. I'm always just kind of uninspired by Fleet, so I'll be a laggard. I'll
Mm.
learn about how it's best used, but I'm not trying to push the envelope here.
Okay, I got you.
And I'm not hiding anything. I can promise you that.
Okay, all right. I respect that. Okay, TJ, we hijacked your last thoughts. So yeah, you kicked us off here about punishing one, but what was the rest of that for the people?
It'll be just how you intend to use it. Like obviously, the higher ups with the 6 to 7 star. Like, I kept contemplating: do I just go ahead and spend and get it to 7? I'm like, I'll have it tomorrow, or wherever the closeout of the thing. But I'm like, I'm not gonna do it. I just normally there'd be a piece of it, but you could best believe my Dengars were like 9, 6 modded to the whim. So it's full on speed, but everybody hates ships because ships are, like I said, they're the differentiator. They will literally make or break you. And as much as we can datacron everything, the one thing that can still catch you is ships. And ships will literally win and lose everything, which is why my resources went there. So punishing one, how it's going to be used, way it's going to be used, like you called it. Is it the triple attacker setup? Is it the one with Houndstooth? What does it stop? How does it stop? And like you're saying, it's because even like my chart is active. Like if we go look at my top 50, I've got them up and down, and people, and it's still doing things. So it's like it's not got one way or another that's holding, but it's moving very quick throughout the top. And my chart is stupid active, unfortunately. So how we set it and what we see on it, I think it's going to be what makes or breaks a lot of people's wins.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you for that, Sasha. How about you, sir? What are you looking forward to doing here in week 3, and your last thoughts for the people?
I'd say probably top of mind for me, and I don't know that it's necessarily looking forward to, but yeah, there's some curiosity for just learning about the new Datacron set. As I mentioned, I think Aesop has a good selection of those. I expect to see a lot of them on D. I think that's going to be some fun learning. So that's kind of where my eyes are, and then related to that. As I'm getting up to speed on that Datacron set, mentioned it before, Ship, but just really pretty underwhelmed with the light side selection from this Datacron set. So I'm I'm glad, and it actually was going to make me revisit a little bit of set 17, just make sure I feel like I have sufficient light side options to cover me when 16 is gone. Just because I'm that underwhelmed. So that's kind of where I am. But and excited generally still for the game. Like with Balin coming, I think Balin's just a super cool character. So I'm eagerly awaiting that too.
Dig that. Yes, it should be exciting next week. We're all looking forward to that. All right, Fatal. How about you, sir? You sounds like you've got juicy things in the works, but what lessons are you looking to apply? Schemes to try? Final thought for the people.
I don't really have a plan going into next week for myself. I did a bunch of remodding, but none of it was like really I would call a scheme. A lot of it was just like I'm going to throw. A lot of it was just like, okay, let me finally mod my Darth Revan for crit chance. Jesus Christ, it's been long enough. For all I know, maybe Attacker Crown's not even that optimal. I just enjoy it. Or it was really solid feeling in 3v3 that you could just like perma lock down Gideon and then enter 2 weeks of 5v5 where I just kept running it, but my DR just kept not critting. It was like, that's that's not ideal. I don't really recommend that experience, but I just
Fair.
kept doing it anyway. I don't know. I guess all I would really say is, I think for the majority of players, as much as I bitch and moan about defense, like to be extremely clear, I went through 6 matches, and 5 of those matches had like pretty solid defensive results. That like the majority of the time, I like defense will be viable against most players. It's all just been clouded for me by like this entire season. It's like when you think you have a vermin or rodent or something in your house, but you just never saw it, and then it took exactly 1 match of like confirming my suspicions to be like motherfucker and just like ripping everything out. That like one match doesn't necessarily meet as representative. It's more so just knowing that the problem is there. It's like I can't really abide just like sitting here and hoping it doesn't happen again. Like traps and all the stuff I was doing this season on defense, it got pretty good results most of the time. That like it's probably still fine to do, but just I don't know. It definitely feels like we're headed back towards set 14 era. That is just like the wind's blowing that way. Just, I'm opening sales and
that seems to be the thing. Like I agree with everybody else here that set 18 seems muted compared to our expectations, especially with the outgoing set 16 and then set 15 before it was also a pretty hearty set in terms of the amount of power that it added onto the board. So when we don't have, so you know, some players might complain that it's like a wild spike in power having these more significant Datacron sets like 16 was for real. But when it's gone, yeah, when the peaks and valleys are leveled out and brought closer toward the middle, it becomes more efficient. And I think you're right because there aren't enough beneficiaries from set 18 for there to be too many challenges. But that said, I would say that, you know, if we would say the last couple of seasons would be the good times, maybe with 15 and 16, I don't know, 16 and 17, maybe. But the defense, like your defense being successful, is usually a question of 1 or 2 holds. It's still not, you know, drops everywhere kind of old times, right? So, yeah, it does feel like it. I'm thinking you're right. I'm hoping you're wrong, kind of a thing. Anyway, sorry, you were saying.
No, it's just I guess all I would really say is the majority of players aren't going to be putting up that level of precision. That like,
yeah,
don't let my bitching moaning get you down if it's something you still enjoy or want to pursue. It's just, yeah, I don't know. I will say, like, I will go to bat for set 18 that I do think, right, when you de-escalate the power level, I think the Kron that does the de-escalating will always get a large amount of criticism, but I think it's also amplified by the fact that this is perhaps not deliberately a triple Kron era, and so this is kind of like, you know, ooh, this shouldn't happen. You know, what crazy things can I do with this triple Kron era? And it's like, no, you're just going to use set 16 mostly, probably. Right. It's like that is still not really something that I would say is like at fault of the new Kron or like even that big of a deal or a bad thing. It's just like it's amplifying the feeling of going through a de-escalation even more, that it's like, you know, creating some disappointment for people or something. That it's just like, I get where they're coming from, but I still don't really see it as like, you know, grr, I can't believe that they de-escalated. It's just like, yeah, this period is always going to feel this way. And it's really more just a question of, I mean, I guess I would just say it's questions of like, how's Balin and his Kron going to sit? How's Great Mother is going to sit once 16 goes, that the SLK casino goes away. You know, we'll see how that stuff looks.
Okay, so you're skeptical, but the door is not closed on looking for defensive opportunity for you. So fair. All right. Well, hey, before I go ahead and close up the show here, as the only other content creator on the stream, Fatal, where can the good people find you?
Twitch.tv/PlaybookTV, and I am going to mention YouTube, despite do not expect to see anything this week or next, but what I will say is I have been spending a large volume of time on the channel. If it was ever going to be happening, I'm not going to say soon, but I'm doing a lot of shit in that respect. Almost to the detriment of, I'm sitting here saying like, yeah, man, I'm going to switch up my offense style. And the translation is, I haven't worked on this shit at all because all of my time spent with the game is more towards content creation right now. But
okay.
The thing that I'm going to hold my feet to the fire for once is I'm finally getting to the stuff that I had always wanted to do when I made the channel. And it's beginning to look like I'm going to be able to make a lot of it. So,
okay, so you figured out your DaVinci Resolve stuff and all that you wanted to do for your workflows and all that.
More than that, like OG channel stuff.
Oh, okay. Okay. Looking
Yeah,
forward to it. I won't push you for a promise date, but look for it in X number of months, kind of thing. Or what are we looking at?
I think I really don't want to promise anything past this point, but I don't. From the progress that I'm making and the speed that I'm making, I mean, production shit will always run into issues, but like the yellow brick road is out right now, and so I just need to keep chasing the leads and working on techniques and stuff. But
Okay.
I'm very fucking happy with that side of the game, and again, like I'm a little not like I'm not even remotely doomy, but I'm like, defense. My defense sucks and blah blah blah. I'm actually like kind of enjoying this period of the game, and wherever the de-escalation lands, like you mentioned, 16 is the big bad. 15, I think we have already kind of forgotten our fathers a bit here. That had some villains.
It did.
I guess that's kind of why it's like, is the de-escalation period maybe going to be less interesting for me personally? Sure. But man, this game could maybe use a de-escalation period because, good lord, things escalated in a real way that it's like, I don't know. I'm excited for Balin. I'm excited for the stuff I'm working on, and I think the streams will be fun. So twitch.tv/playbooktv, youtube.com/theplaybook, sometime soon DM.
We'll take it. All right. Thank you for that. And for my part, my lessons learned, I tried a couple things that maybe I don't quite have the defense on the crons to do kind of these punch-ups, so I might stick to some of the more successful attacks out of week 1. I have done a couple remods that'll only affect 1 or 2 teams that I'm hoping will make a difference on defense. It's all based on lessons from my attacks in week 2, but it's going to be, I think my Great Mothers is mostly going to ride top wall for week 3. You know what you're doing against it, and you can do that up there and figure out something else to get through my bottom front wall. So I think that's probably a large part of my general week 3 strategy. What else? Oh yeah. Remember to take the Plocron when you use Plo. That's a lesson I'm taking. And final thought is enjoy. This is the last hurrah set 16. Hate it or love it, it's only here for another week. You're in TW right now, so you're enjoying these both at the same time for the last time. And otherwise, check out my channel here in the next couple days for the release on Datacron Set 18 and start making ready for Conquest next week to start for that. In short, though, if you want to see me on streaming live, you can catch me on twitch.tv/Tassinix. Of course, if you're watching this show, I usually upload it here to YouTube, and then it gets shared out to Spotify, Google Podcasts, and I also include the RSS feed link in every episode, so if you like listening to it on Apple Podcasts or anywhere else, you can follow the show with that link. But Plotting and Scheming is hosted on my YouTube channel, Tassinix Gaming. I've got some other Swigger-related content there I think you'll be interested in. The aforementioned Datacron set videos for the outgoing set 16, but also videos are up for 17, and then, in another day or so, 18. We've also got the mod guide videos that I started at your request, covering factions and characters that you wanted to have some idea about how to set up. So we've got those going. Appreciate all of your interest on those. And of course, I also do upload my VODs from my previous streams with chapters added for easy browsing. So that's all there on YouTube. And of course, if you've enjoyed the show here, make sure you hit like and you hit subscribe so you don't miss a beat. And if you want to support the channel, I did create a Cash App at you guys' request. That is $Tassinix. Otherwise, I do have a Patreon where you can join my community and get a little something back, help you with your scouting and whatnot. Let me put up the correct slide first. All right, check out patreon.com/Tassinix for any upwardly mobile Grand Arena player. I firmly believe there's something there of interest to you. $5 a month gets you into the TAS house at VIP access, where you get early access to the Plotting and Scheming podcast. My patrons are usually getting it Tuesday night within hours of us recording. The show otherwise comes out publicly on Fridays. You also get a few days early access here to my Datacron set videos, dedicated text and voice channel here on Discord, where you can usually find me lurking if you want to pop in, say hi, pick my brain, what have you. But thank you so much to Andrew, Arj, Brock Thudsteel, Deadpool Cow 28, JJ's Productions Twitch, Jobin4527, Johnny B. Ottawa, Miasmal, Ray's Malbus, Renee Bebe, Sam Vimes, Squed, Stark Strategy Gamer, Sweens, White Wolf, and Zoltre. Moving up to $10 a month at VIP Access Plus, that is your patron bundle with access to me and to OmegaBot Patreon. If you watch my streams at the start, I always pull one of these reports on my opponent. No other tool gives you such a powerful at-a-glance view of your opponent's offensive and defensive tendencies. The Patreon feature allows you to pull greater than just the last 2 weeks of history, and you get a downloadable HTML report with, clickable links that take you right to swugga.gg so you can inspect and drill down onto certain teams and what their counters are. Helps save a lot of time on your scouting if you're deep into the game like I am. Thank you so much to Stryker and Sotnikam for taking that offer. And at VIP Access Premium, that's $15 a month for the Double Bot bundle. So Patreon access to me, OmegaBot, and to Hot Utils, the /1 tool for your mass mod management and your loadout creation. So with a couple clicks, you can, switch between TB, TW, Raid, Grand Arena, save a ton of time on your remodding. Use it to sort your mods, aid in your Grand Arena preparations, help your guild with TW. So many functions in that. Thank you so much to Duckstab, Funky, Ibanek, General Milan, Sir Boss, Quig, and Wilco. And at the top of the list in Jester's Club Elite, the one, the only Nomad's Reaper. This man pops into stream from time to time and goes crazy, dropping hundreds of subs and thousands of biddies. Extraordinarily generous support over the years. Thank you so much, sir. And of course, last but never least, our special thanks. Let's get that slide up. First to Yoda Force, one of my original supporters way back in the day. He bought me the mic I'm speaking to you on right now, and even though he's long since quit the game, we wish him well from the other side. To Mrs. T, my wife, working steadily in the background to keep my daughter from destroying different parts of the home while I am trying to be halfway decent at the phone game. And of course, to my co-hosts here on Plotting and Scheming, Dagger, TJ, Sasha Aisha, and Fatal. Gentlemen, it is a pleasure and a privilege to record our show every week. I learn a lot from you guys. I know our viewers learn a ton as well. The feedback's very warm, very appreciative. Folks are really loving what we're giving out here to the community, so really appreciate you guys for being a critical part of the recipe to that success. All right, let's, critical and integral, I should say. All right, and then we come back on over to the main scene. We've wrapped up week 2. Let's get this done. It's the final hurrah for set 16. And until next week's episode, it's been real. It's been awesome. It's been real awesome. Take care.